Hello everyone. We are in the middle of lockdown and it is really uncharted waters for everyone. I just want to say from my side that I am with you in this together. We are all in this together. No one of us knew what were going into when we were going into lockdown, and no one knew or could anticipate what was going to happen when Corona hit the world and when it hit South Africa. What I would like to share with you today is a message of hope. I would like to encourage you to keep sane and keep connected during this time. And I would like to encourage you to get involved in certain practices that could help you build a basis of resilience, or what we would say a foundation of resources or inner resources to help you cope during this time. Just bear in mind that I am human. I am as much an earthling as all of you on this planet, and we all didn't expect this. We all weren't prepared for this. Basically, what we can do is we can look to the past and we can look at previous pandemics and we can look at what was done there and what happened. But we are really, really in uncharted territory. None of us really have a handbook for this, and we are making it up as we go along. I do not have all the answers, but I would like to share with you some techniques that have worked for my clients and that works for me as a human being. We are a collective as humans on this planet, and that we are sharing in a collective experience, which means that we are all interconnected and we're all suffering collectively. But some of us are suffering more than others. Some of us have poorer socioeconomic circumstances. We come with different backgrounds. Every human being on this planet is unique. Every circumstance is unique. And every person presents with their own makeup, their own genetic makeup that will make what happens to them in this time different. So we need to, I don't want to give you a one-fits-all kind of approach. I just want to give you some ideas that you could use and make your own, and that could assist you in this time. I could also make available resources if you would like to connect with me, but we could talk about that sometime later. Now, first of all, I would just like to remind you that it is okay. It is okay, whatever you are experiencing in this time. Some people are faced with very legitimate fears. Will they have a job after all of this? Will they be financially safe, secure? A lot of us don't have the surplus to fall back on. Some of us, most of us, are not earning an income right now. A lot of us have kids that we need to manage through this very uncertain time. So the kids are anxious, they're frustrated, they're irritated, they're uncertain as to what lies ahead. A lot of them are suffering from a kind of a grief because some have to make sacrifices in this time. We all have to make sacrifices in this time. We have very legitimate fears. We don't know how this virus is going to unfold. What makes us very uncertain is that we as human beings don't yet understand it completely. We don't know how it can be transferred from asymptomatic people to others. Animals are infected. We have no idea how this is going to work. But what we need to understand is that nothing is ever certain. We actually have no control. What we need to surrender is not necessarily what we think is going to get us through. It's control. We all feel powerless in some or other way. We don't understand, we don't know certain things in many ways, but we have to stay connected to some kind of inner knowing, some kind of hope, some kind of understanding that we are larger than this and that we can get through this. So what I would be looking at as a psychologist in guiding people through a time like this is to understand what makes us resilient and what makes us whole and healthy, and how to promote the well-being of our humanness, our condition in this time. But first, just a disclaimer, some people will experience lockdown in more extreme ways than others, because they have a past history of trauma. And usually in these circumstances, with isolation, alienation, that fear that accelerates, some people who have been traumatized before will be triggered, they will be activated, and they will be experiencing old emotions, unresolved issues, which will be coming to the surface. And those people would need more support, and people with previous conditions and stresses, like many people are going through difficult times as we entered lockdown, a divorce, a loved one that has been has passed on. So people are struggling with loss, with bereavement, with a lot of pain. And in this time, that can be exacerbated, and they could be activated in extreme states of emotional dysregulation, and we need to support those people. But what makes up good health? What makes up the well-being of a human? Now, I've looked to different sources and I've combined these, and I've put together what we call the 8 pillars of health. Now, the 8 pillars of health are quite simple. They start with nutrition. They start with feeding your body, which is a biological system, it's an organic system, with food that is nutritious. That means not too much processed food, not too much sugar, substances, anything that could be toxic for the system. So you need to understand what your body needs in this time. Now, a lot of people are out of their normal habits and out of their normal routines, which is not a bad thing at all. Because sometimes when we are taken out of our routines, we are pushed into thinking out of the box, redefining ourselves, and thinking more creatively about our lives. So we get pushed, and being pushed out of our limits is good for us, because it can create new neural pathways. It can stimulate our way of being in this world in a different way. But we have to keep up with our nutrition. Now, we have a baseline mineral and vitamin level, and we need to keep that going. Otherwise, we won't be strong enough to resist, and it will affect our immune system if we do not have good nutrition. Not all of us can afford good nutrition, but you need to investigate what that means for you and your body, and what your body needs. And in terms of your biorhythm, when does your blood pressure fall? When is it too high? And what do you need to sustain your body through this time? Now, that's one pillar. The second pillar is movement, mobility. It doesn't necessarily mean exercise. A lot of people can't run and do horse riding and hike and kayak and swim and do all the things that they were used to before this time. But you need to keep that up in some other way, even if it means just running around the garden, if you've got a garden. I am a yoga practitioner, so I do yoga every day, and if I don't feel like it, I would just do normal stretches. So just to keep your body moving and supple. But why not hold a living room party where you dance to your heart's content, and you keep your body moving, and you bring some form of excitement into that? So just move. That's very important. The other one is fun activities, good sleep and relaxation. Now, that fits also with the Healthy Mind platter from Dr. Daniel Siegel, where you have to have creative time. Now, not all of us are artists. We're not all good at painting or doing pottery or doing things like that, but it's important that you do something creative, whether it's, painting old furniture, or fixing something that you've wanted to fix for a long time, packing out cupboards, reorganizing things, clearing out clutter. This was the time for us to clear out what we don't need, because we've become so accustomed to over hoarding and stuff that we actually don't need. So we can actually get rid of these things, and we can repurpose them, and we can give them to others who need them. So go and have a look at what you can can do in your house, what you can do in your garden, planting herbs. Even we can't go and buy paint right now. We can't go and buy plants right now, but we can do a lot of things to be creative and play. If we have got kids, teach them about soil, teach them about the changing of seasons, go and pick up leaves and, draw the shapes of the leaves, color them in. Look at how many different colored leaves you can find in your garden because of the autumn colors appearing right now. So the other one is definitely what we would call conscious work or conscious action. And in this time, being a collective human species with all of the other species in this world, what we give to others gives 10 times over. So we need to reach out. We need to be compassionate. We need to extend our reach beyond ourselves and be of service to people. And that goes for after lockdown as well. We need to investigate and examine what it is that we are doing in this world. And there's no more a me and an I, it's a us. And we need to consider, because we're so interconnected, what we do in this world of service, how does it ripple effect, and how does it give a long-lasting, sustainable gift of love? So those are the kinds of things that keep us going and keeps us mentally adaptable and resilient. The most important thing that I want to convey today is our ability to meditate. Now, a lot of people get scared when they hear the word meditation because they associate it with Eastern practices. It is not just an Eastern practice. Yes, it has been borrowed from Eastern practices, but in the Western world, in psychology specific, we have adapted meditation practices, and there's a lot of research about the effectiveness of meditation and how it actually calms the brain and calms the nervous system down. Now, meditation is one of the cheapest ways you can look after yourself, look after your mental health, take care of your brain, and take care of your nervous system. Meditation is not about clearing your mind. It's not about emptying your mind of thoughts. We cannot do that. We will have thoughts all the time. Meditation is about being in the moment, being in the present, because present moment awareness, and with that goes full-bodied and full sensory awareness. Being in the moment, but still being connected to your environment and being aware of your external environment as well as your internal environment. That is what it means to really meditate, is to be still and to know that you are more than this. You are all of this. You are this body. You are your roles. You are your personality in this world. You are the spirit that is within you. You are a very magnanimous being. And that internal resource that we come to know through meditation is an infinite resource that will sustain you. And that is how you build the foundational, your foundation or your base, where you can come back to in times like these, in crisis. Now, a lot of people are not familiar with meditation. There's a lot of websites that I can point you to. There's a lot of apps. There's a lot of free resources that I can send you, if you like, to assist you in learning to practice meditation. Now, meditation is a practice, and it's something that you've got to do over and over. Now, the research says that we need to do that at least 20 minutes a day to get into the habit of meditation. 20 minutes a day, 21 days. This is the time that we can start doing that. And you will start to see the layers of yourself peeling back, and you will be able to restore some form of grounding in your life when you practice in that way. But if you are leaning more towards the contemplative Christian side, there are a lot of meditations in that arena as well. It doesn't have to belong to a specific religion. It is a practice that could sustain you however you want to, whatever angle you want to use, and whatever form you would like to use. Now, the other pillar would be, well, basically spiritual work. It would be prayer. It would be, it could be something like a gratitude journal. It could be something like, just blessing. Whatever your spiritual practice is, that would sustain you in this time. Now, Dr. Daniel Siegel talks about the 7 essential mental activities to optimize your brain matter and create well-being. And this is important because you need this. It's like a platter. It's what you would need in the form of a healthy, balanced diet. This is what your brain needs, or what your mind needs in the form of healthy sustenance or nutrition. It's focus time. It's when we closely focus on tasks in goal-oriented ways. We take on challenges, and that makes a deep connection in the brain. That could be learning something new. It could be watching a YouTube video and trying to cook something new, trying to make something, repurpose something. That could be focus time. Playtime is when we allow ourselves to be spontaneous and we are creative and we playfully enjoy novel experiences. And that also makes new connections in the brain. Now, connecting time, this is the most difficult one because we actually struggle with this in lockdown, because connection is about people. And a lot of people are now isolated in lockdown and they feel alienated from their loved ones and they worry about them and they can't connect like they normally would face to face. As a therapist, I'm battling with that because I like that one-on-one where you get into someone's energy field and you are there with them, you are with them. So we can't be with all the people we would like to be, but connection can be in many forms. Connection can be energetically. It could be with a pet. I love hugging my cats. I love hugging my son. I love, just phoning a friend and having a laugh. Now that is very, very important. We need to connect with people in this time. We need physical time for the mind. I don't have to tell you how good exercise is and how many, beautiful endorphins it can release, and it can make us feel good. My 16-year-old son, he needs to be active all the time, and that is important for teenagers. They need that. And it's very difficult in this time. But what is also beautiful is to see how creative they become in being active and physically exerting themselves in ways that we didn't think of before. So there are beautiful gifts that are coming out of this experience. Now, downtime. To be quiet, to be still, to do nothing is actually a beautiful thing. To just watch what is around us, to appreciate this beautiful mountain that we've got. And those of us that are still privileged to have gardens and have the natural surroundings, a butterfly, seeing how beautiful everything is, even in this time of the year, the sun on your skin, everything can be appreciated in that kind of downtime. And downtime is just watching a fire sometimes, or just reading a book, or listening to some beautiful music you haven't listened to in quite some time. Sleep, that's the final one. We have to sleep. We need that time to recover. Our bodies need that time to recover. Our mind needs that to recover. And in times of stress, when we are afraid, when we are anxious, that's the one thing that gets affected. So bringing us back to the body and how we should be taking care of the body through sleep, nutrition, taking care of the mind, staying active, practicing mindfulness, etc. What we need to understand about this very complicated system, we have an inbuilt mechanism that is geared towards recognizing fear in our environment. So that is activated right now. And for some people, it's more activated than others. Now, our human blueprint has that instinctual drive to get away from what is dangerous or what we perceive as threat in our environment. And the coronavirus, COVID-19, is perceived as a threat to many people. And it is a real threat. It's a legitimate threat. There are so many other threats associated with COVID-19 that I mentioned earlier. So our nervous system will go into activation. It will go into fight or flight, which are the two typical modes people go into. And that would release cortisol, and your whole parasympathetic system, will go into activation, and that is to protect you. And it's very important that we understand that that is normal. So we can't invalidate that experience or that mobilization of our biological system, but we have to understand that if it's constantly activated, we will get exhausted, and we can't sustain that. Now, stress affects the immune system, it affects the endocrine system, it affects the respiratory system, because we constrict our breathing, we constrict our gut. Our whole body goes into a kind of freeze if we can't fight or flight. So that is what I am concerned of for most people. When we go into that freeze mode, when we shut down and we start disconnecting from our sensoric experience, from our presence, from everybody around us, and we go into depression. So we need to look out for that. But we will have up and down days, and it is normal. And what is important is you have to show compassion for yourself. You have to show kindness for yourself. And you have to stay in your body, and you stay connected in your body by recognizing where you are at. A simple exercise. Where are your feet? Where's my feet? My feet is on this ground. It is on this carpet. It is on this property. It is in this town. It is in this province. It is in this country. It is in this world, on this planet. And to recognize and see yourself as grounded. Grounding exercises are plenty. You have to follow your breath, and that doesn't mean constricting or extending your breath. Bear in mind that when you are anxious, taking a deep breath is actually not a good thing. It actually activates, or it heightens your heart rate. It accelerates your heart rate, which could propel the stress reaction or the stress response. So in anxious times, what we need is to notice our breath. Now, this is a formula, a breath exercise that I give to people when they are feeling very activated, when they're stressed, when they feel very anxious. Now, remember, in the COVID-19 situation, we are in survival fear or survival stress, but this is also effective for that. Now, the formula starts with 4, 5, or 6, 8. I'll break it down. 4 on the in-breath, 5 or 6 is holding the breath, and 8 is exhale. Now, the exhale, when we are anxious, needs to be longer than the inhale, and that calms the heart rate down and it calms the nervous system down. So you take an in-breath to the count of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You hold to the count of 5 or 6. And then you exhale slowly through your mouth or through your nose, 8 to the count of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you repeat that 3 times. Now, whilst you are doing your breath exercise, you need to embody, meaning you need to be very aware of what's going on in your body. Now, that's one way of staying present, is with the breath and embodiment. Is to notice what sensations are you experiencing as you are stressed, as you are anxious, not judging it, but just noticing, observing what you're experiencing, noting it and noting how it changes, because it will change. And as you do your breath exercise, Be aware of your environment as well, what's going on around you. We are multi-sensory beings, and we are able to take in the external environment whilst being aware of the internal environment, whilst trying to regulate our emotions and our physiological response. So in doing this, we build a foundation. And if you do this regularly and you notice what is going on in your body, you notice what's going on in your emotions, not judging it, and you practice self-compassion, you will build a resource that will sustain you through this time. But I warn you, it takes time. It takes practice. It is not easy, and especially not for people who are not used to connecting with their bodies or are always in their mind. And being a psychologist or analytical in the way I think, in the way I look at things, I am in my mind. So it takes a lot of effort to come back to the body, come back to the present moment, notice the breath. And some days are better than others. Some days I can't manage to meditate. Some days I manage to do this very easily, and there's flow. So remember, we are biological systems, and we need to restore flow. Flow is restored through allowing our emotions to be expressed safely, constructively, noticing how our breath affects our physiological system, noticing our sensory connection to the world, our sensory experiences inside. And through that, you build a resource here. Now, this brings me to the last exercise that I would like to show you. This is a form of self-containment that we could do in order to bring our heart rate down. This is proven, it works, and this is something that you can do very easily. It's by taking your right hand and putting it under your armpit, just where the ribs and where your heart is, basically. In a way, covering the ribs and the heart underneath your armpit and placing your hand over your shoulder. Okay. And in this, and you can hold this for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes or half an hour, for as long as you would like to. There's no limit to this. And you notice. You can keep your eyes open. You can close your eyes. For some people, this would be very difficult. But in this, as you recognize and you can feel your heart beating against your hand, you can feel the quality of your breathing as you're doing this. You can feel the sensations in your body. And you notice as you are doing this, and you can calmly just say to yourself, this is okay. This is okay. What I'm feeling is okay. And just feel and feel. Feel where your feet are. Feel your sitting bones on the cushion, on the chair. Feel your back against the chair, wherever you're sitting. Feel the breeze on your skin. Feel the sun on your face. Just feel, notice all the sensations going through you. And as you're doing this, you can repeat what we call a loving kindness refrain, a self-compassion refrain, which I borrowed from various other experts in the field, Kirsten Neff, Tara Brach, there's many, Dr. Levine. So we can use this kind of refrain. May I be safe. May I be at peace. May I be at ease. May I be healthy. May all the ones that I love be happy, healthy, safe. Whatever you would like to use, whatever you would like to say, in the form of self-compassion, compassion towards others, you can say in this time, may I be safe. May I be healthy. May I be at peace. May I be at ease. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself for who I am. May I accept my condition for what it is right now. Because this is very important. When we can't change what's going on, and we resist it, it causes conflict internally. So we need to find some form of acceptance, not acceptance that it's right, but acceptance that puts us at ease and does not put us in a state of resistance, which causes us stress. And that is what you could do for yourself in this time. And all I would like to do is wish you safety, wish you health, wish you hope, and wish you resilience, mental tenacity, mental flexibility, mental adaptability, movement, joy, love, and spontaneous expression during this time. And may we all get through this safely. And may we see the gift of the experience at the end of all of this.